Hey everyone, it's Wanda. I have a question for you. Are you living in should state or are you living in flow state? What's the difference between the two? For those of you who are heart centered, living in flow state is the pathway that delivers you to the very reason that you're on the planet. You have something in your heart that's begging to be delivered to the masses. This is why you're here right now. There's something in you, genius in you, something that your life has caused you to get excited about, that the masses are calling for during this big time of transition. But here's what we do. We've learned to rely on our logical mind. I don't talk about the ego in the same way that other people do. For me, the ego is the outer facing ego. It's designed to keep us focused in this world of physical form. It's focused on our physical senses, but it's not focused on anything else. It doesn't know how to make anything happen. It knows what did happen and it knows what's happening, and that's it. But we've decided at some point, not you, but your parents and our ancestors decided the logical mind is here to figure stuff out, and it can't. We cannot set goals and then set little incremental goals. And then that's how we get from where we are to this dream that our hearts can feel and know. But that's what most people are doing. They're living from the logical mind, which is the should state. So it sounds like, all right, well, I know I have a book in me and I really should write this book. And so I'm going to make myself sit down and write for an hour every day. It can sound like, well, I know I need to grow my email list and I'm just really not in the mood and I just don't know what to do, but I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to make myself do it. It's the should state is when we're mean to ourselves, saying should be better at this. I should know what I'm doing. I shouldn't be afraid. That's the logical mind, and it's the should state. And the other state that the only state that we can occupy where the magic can happen is flow state. And flow state is where our heart and our mind are aligned, where we're in passion about something, where we just go easy with ourselves. And instead of pushing through things, we decide, what would I love to do right now? What lights me up? Well, what message would I love to share with the world? When we're in flow state, we know that whatever we want to create is already done, because it is. Creation is done, and the only thing that's missing is that version of you. So when we're in flow state, we're not saying, how do I make it happen? Which is just full of resistance. We're not saying, when will it happen? We're not saying, where is it or how is it? All of those questions knock us out of flow state and put us into resistance. And we can't tap into that magical genius that we each have when we're in resistance. Flow state is when we say, it's already done. Oh, my big vision, my house, I already own that house. Or I've already reached 10,000 clients in my first offering. I already have a New York Times best-selling book. And so since it's already done and it's a done deal, then what would I love to do? What would love do right now? Now that I know it's already done. What ideas would I love to share with the world? What words would I love to share if you're writing a book? what would I love to share right now in this chapter that I know will shift someone when they read the words? Can you feel the difference? This is living in flow state. And what I see so often, almost all the time, quite honestly, is that we don't trust ourselves. We trust our mind and we trust our logic more than we trust anything else. But there's another whole part of you, your inner genius, that's saying, hey, I'm here. I've got all those ideas. I know exactly the path and I've got the strategy. But we can't listen because we're too focused on how and what if I fail? And what if I write the book and nobody reads it? What if I create an offering and nobody signs up? Can you feel the difference? We're either in our hearts or we're in our heads. And when we're in our heads, we are not in flow state. Flow state is tapping into perfect strategy at the perfect time rather than thinking, I'm going to sign up with so and so who promises implement my strategy, and I can guarantee you that you will have increased sales or increased readers or increased whatever. But it doesn't work because they're not taking their hearts to the world. And that's the difference between you and somebody else. If you're writing a book on how to do something logical, maybe it would work, but I don't even think that would work anymore. The only thing that really works is becoming the version of you who is already experiencing what you would love. As Neville Goddard says, living from the end, as if your big vision were happening right here, right now. How does that feel? Well, it feels pretty good and it's exciting and it's done and there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's already done. You've already done the things. That is operating in flow state. But so many people look at, just tell me how. I used to be there. Just tell me how. 15 years ago, when I really didn't know what I was saying and who my audience was, I said, just tell me how. I was a big logical, figure it out person. But there's nothing to figure out. We are led one idea at a time in a way that's absolutely perfect for each of us. And we align with that version of us and gradually, or sometimes not so gradually, become that version. We think like that version of us, talk like that version of us, know what that version of us already knows. And the ideas just pop in, one brilliant idea after the other. And that's what living in flow state looks like. It looks like listening to your mind say, oh, I really should work on this course, but I don't really feel like it. And so instead you ask, well, you ask your vision, you ask your dream, what's one thing that I could do right now? Right now, what is one thing that I can do that feels exciting, that feels interesting, that feels curious? And then you do that. That's why I'm doing a video today instead of something else that my mind said I should be doing. But most of us don't do that. Most people do not rely on anything other than their minds. They rely on psychics. They rely on other coaches that guarantee some magic strategy. And none of it works. It may work for you later, but it doesn't work until you're in flow state and aligned with your vision and what you're delivering to the world. Most of us live in should, or most of us live in fear and doubt. Where do fear and doubt come from? It's because we're in our heads. it's when our mind, that is basically fearful in nature, is saying, well, this is the worst thing that could happen, because that's what our minds do. They're here to protect us in the physical world. So our mind is always going to be on the lookout for worst case scenarios. That's where most of you are. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm too old? What if I make a fool of myself? What if? Fear-based scenarios. Move over to flow. Align with what your heart wants, your true desires. Your true desires are things that you want. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you love? If anything was possible, what would you love? They're usually big. They're bigger than your logical mind can even understand. But when we align with our true desires, this magical pathway opens up, one idea at a time, one step at a time. The shoulds disappear because the pull from our hearts are so magnetic that we are pulled by our vision, rather than being pushed by our fear. And we learn to listen, to be in flow state, to always, every day, tap into what's the one thing I can do today that will move me closer to my vision. So this is how I work with my coaching clients, to teach them how to tap into the energy of your big vision where it's already done. And then for action, to tap into what is that one thing I can do, and then do it, knowing that what you want is already a done deal. You can't mess it up. It changes everything. So I would invite you to be aware of when you're living in should land, when you're trying to make yourself do something that you just don't want to do. And there's a reason that you don't want to do it. Maybe you need to go and take a walk. Maybe you'd rather take a walk, and maybe you need to go take a walk so that the genius you, when you're out of the way and non-resistant, can drop in an idea that sounds fun and that changes everything. What if you decide that you'd rather take a nap than do the thing that your mind is telling you you should do? And when you take a nap, you have a dream where you come out of that nap refreshed and energized and excited about what you're delivering to the world that you know will make a difference. What if it's just possible, live life without any shoulds? Because it is. And please understand and know that you have the perfect strategy within you. You just don't trust it yet. And how do you trust it? You start doing it. You start testing the waters. You start saying, okay, well, I have this idea and I'm just going to do it. And yeah, I'm a little bit afraid, but I'm just going to face my fear. I'm going to call fear out and say, okay, fear, I hear you, but not today. I'm excited about what I'm doing. And you do that one thing that you would love to do, and you get the feedback, and it changes everything. So I'm not suggesting that coaches who are offering strategies aren't helpful. They really are your second strategy. The first strategy is sink into, who is this version of me who is already living my dream? How do I feel? What do I love? What's happening? How am I thinking? And then know that it's already done. Be in the energy of that when you are writing your book, deciding what to do, deciding anything. Make a decision based on being in flow rather than should do this, and rather than being in fear and doubt, because fear and doubt mean you're in your head. That genius in you, especially now, is here to take something to the world that only you can take to the world. And the way you take it to the world may not be like anyone else's strategy. And that's what we need to learn to trust, all of us. We need to trust the genius part of us inherently, in all cases, no matter what. So I would invite you that the next time you hear yourself think, oh, I should do this, drop into your heart, feel the resistance in that, and get out of that. And then drop into, what would I love? What's my why? What's my why for why I'm doing what I'm doing? Why do I want people to know this? Why? Drop into that. And that's your inner genius. And that's flow. And start to live from flow more and more when you take any action. I'll leave you with that. I'd love to hear your comments. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. I have a public group on Facebook called the Empowered Empaths, and I have a private group on Facebook called Ditch the Doubt and Dance with Creation. You are all creators, and you're all here to bring more of you to the world. That's all we're ever doing. We're bringing more of our hearts and more of our unique messages to the world. And that's why it feels so scary sometimes, because we've probably never done this. We're afraid of rejection. It feels very personal. And I'm offering soon a little mini course on identity. Who do you say you are? Because that determines everything. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.